Oh, Valentine's, the annual reminder that keeps flashing to my face my relationship status. Single. According to the US Census, there are 131 million single Americans. There are more single women than single men. I'm Korean, and it looks like things are not much better off in my home country. Today, I want to share a few of my thoughts on modern dating. This chat isn't going to be me complaining how hard dating is, nor giving unsolicited relationship advice. No. I get it. Dating is hard. Finding a match feels like a never-ending marathon. And these are things that we don't really learn in school. I also hope to share my perspective as an Asian trying to date in the United States, and as someone who has perpetually been single. Let's begin with what I believe makes up the 3 pillars of modern dating. First, let's understand what role work plays in our life. Second, let's talk about how social media plays a role in creating a perception about dating. And of course, online dating. I've been on online dating apps since 2014, and I've worked with a professional matchmaker for the past 3.5 years. I hope to provide some perspective there too. Let's begin with your first data point. Me. My name is Yujin, and I'm a working professional in my mid-30s. I am Korean. Now I work and live in Boston, Massachusetts. I had the fortune, or depending on who you're asking, the misfortune, of being exposed to 2 very different dating culture, South Korea and the United States. I flushed out a lot of the details on 3 things now, down to 1 thing that I'm looking for in a partner with my therapist, with my mom, my sister, and my close friends. Yes, I have an Excel spreadsheet on my dates. But despite being so strategic, I faced many struggles in dating too. I'm working in the United States under a visa. In one of my dates, I had someone ask me this question: "Are you looking for a green card marriage?" And I had to constantly defend myself that no, that is not my plan. On the other hand, I also started to question the other person's intention too. I always carry this set of insecurity with me when I go on dates. Is this person interested because of who I am as a person, or because of my cultural background, because I'm Korean, or because I'm Asian? There was absolutely no way to tell. It also didn't help that I went to boarding school with a no dating policy. If you were caught dating, then you were expelled. We were very strict about it, and actually it turns out a lot of my friends were dating under the radar. I found out later that I was one of the very few law-abiding students who remained single for all 3 years in high school. So those were the complications that I brought with me when I entered the real world. I had high hopes. By 30, I'll have 2 kids. But no, I don't even have a single cat. So what's going on? We live in a day and age in which we are constantly busting our ass off. Everything we buy keeps getting more expensive. I mean, I hope my rent doesn't go up. We've already faced major economic upheavals, the Great Recession and COVID, of course. And we end up spending a lot of time at work to make our ends meet. I also feel like the world is changing so fast and it's just hard to keep up. In my 20s, I chased the best opportunities and flew to wherever that was. Naturally, I had to use my weekends to sleep and recover, take care of some household stuff. I have to do the dishes, do the laundry, do adult things like work on my taxes and stuff. On weekdays, I would start work around 9 and end around, whenever work gets done. If you think about all the time you have left after work, it's not much. How am I supposed to go on a date? I think part of me was also a little worried about starting a family too soon. I don't even know when too soon is. It's hard to just take care of myself. I couldn't see how I could fit in another partner or a child in my work and travel schedule. My other problem was I cared so much about work, almost to the point that I associated my self-worth with how busy I am, how much work I get done, how packed my calendar is. It's a problem that I'm working on. Yeah, and I thought to myself, hey, at least my Excel models and PowerPoint slides are prettier than most men. I attached a lot of my self-worth with my job, promotion, my reputation, and whatever I was working on. The thing is, I felt that with relationships, you don't really have those quarterly reports, annual reviews, or even report cards like school. With school and at work, you are working towards a specific deadline or a specific accomplishment. I never felt that relationships had a concrete, I guess for the lack of a better word, KPIs. And relationships need a lot of work. I get it. It just felt like a marathon, and I was busy and caught up on doing these sprints in school and at work. And because I was so occupied, I ended up spending any free time I had online, usually on my phone. So I shoved it way off my list and just kept on delaying it. Maybe I'll find a life partner in business school. Maybe I'll find someone through another service or online dating or matchmaking. I used to spend hours in the airport scrolling through my cell phone because the flights were delayed or canceled. So I was addicted to Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and all the equivalent versions of these apps in Korean too. Updating your relationship status was a big thing. Your Facebook official. I guess the equivalent of that in Instagram now is the soft launch and the hard launch of your significant other. Anyway, I see online happy, joyful couples traveling to tropical places, giving each other fancy, nice gifts, and taking cute photos in different restaurants around the world. The more time I spend scrolling through and getting these updates on friends/acquaintances, the more time I had to build these fantasies of a person, a place, and a thing that doesn't exist. These couples are having so much fun. They're in love. What am I doing wrong that's making me feel like I'm missing out on love? I didn't feel this way professionally, but I felt that in my dating life at least, my self-worth in dating was not very high. And this person, this dream person, is out there somewhere looking for me. Going to Hawaii, Paris. Actually, I'm going to these places with my sister. I love her dearly. But I also wonder, how is it that some of my friends are perpetually in a relationship and my perpetual status is single? This is so bizarre. My bucket list of places that I want to go with a significant other keeps growing. But I have yet to go on a trip with a man. Online dating, I feel like, is a business model. Their intention is not to be deleted. You want people to be hooked and addicted to using and opening those apps. The biggest problems I see with online dating are optionality, low commitment, and misalignment in what people are looking for. You feel like there are so many fish in the ocean, and the next one that you haven't met seems better than the one you know. You keep finding what's good, what's better. Try to maximize your opportunity. I read this theory a while ago, and it talks about, it's called the secretary problem. Kind of applies to when you're looking for a parking spot or a rental property. When do you know when to stop? How do you know that you found the match that is good for you? That is good enough. Online dating apps give you the sense that it's almost an illusion. You have floods of options available. But that's not necessarily true. Especially if you're striving for monogamy and looking for one person, then you don't need to go through all the fish in the ocean. There's nothing alive there worth your time. It kind of feels like the Dead Sea. And the low commitment part, because you get matched with someone through a swipe of a finger, your thumb. You just feel like the commitment's lower. If a friend or your parents made the introduction, you have that middle person and you would try a little harder to protect your reputation. With apps, I feel like you're meeting a complete stranger and the stakes are lower if you, for instance, don't show up for a date. So I've got stood up a few times too. There's also misalignment in intentions. What I'm looking for could be different from what you're looking for. And unless people make that very clear, it's hard. But what's worse is not a lot of people actually do know what they want. If two confused people meet, then I think that's just going to be more chaotic. And while I was dating as an international in the United States, I've also learned some interesting terms in modern dating, quite unfortunately. So here they are. Ghosting. It's quite traumatic. This one happens pretty often. Situationship. This is a word that I've been hearing the past few years. Casual relationship, serious relationship, defining the relationship, and all these different stages of how you work through a relationship in the United States. But for your context and reference, in Korea, you meet someone, you go on a few dates. And between date 5 and I would say 10 or so, the one person who is more interested would ask to be exclusive and put the label boyfriend, girlfriend. I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, this happens anywhere between 2 and 3 months. But in the United States, I've seen it work this way, where you start talking to someone, you're texting, and you're getting to know each other. First few dates. And after a few dates, it becomes a regular thing, something you look forward to. Then you are seeing this person, you are seeing each other. Then you go on to this dating stage, but you're not sure if the other person is dating around. So you kind of navigate this ambiguous area, start meeting each other's friends, And at one point, you have the DTR, defining the relationship. Where is this going? Where do we want this to go? Do we want to continue seeing each other? And then you could be exclusive, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a boyfriend and girlfriend. This was just like, I did not understand. Like, okay, cultural differences in dating is a huge thing, but this to me, it was just very hard to wrap my head around it. Yeah, and also like saying I love you comes maybe later on or never. So here I am exposed to the Korean dating culture and also the American dating culture and trying to find like that happy middle ground of, okay, let's not be too serious up front, but still get to know each other. I don't know. I felt like I was confused. A little bit about Korean dating apps. There still is a lot of stigma around meeting someone through dating apps. The layout of online dating apps in Korea and the United States varies so much. So in Korea, here are some features that I've noticed. You can get a badge. Basically, these are resumes with a photo. I've actually met one of the founders of these apps, and what he told me is you would scan your documents, your net worth, your bank accounts, the jobs you have, your degrees, send it over, someone would verify it, so you can have a badge on where you live, the type of asset you have, the cars you drive, the schools you've went to, and all these different things. And I just go like, oh my God, this was so bizarre. So in these Korean apps, people can rank you and you can see how you stack up against each other. There's also an anonymous community built into these apps. So you can ask questions. I think this worked in Korea because the dating intentions were, we will help you get into a serious relationship that will end up in marriage. Yeah, but the sense I got was it was a lot of comparison. I felt that these apps focused not only on physical attractiveness, but other qualities too. So which one's better? I don't know. I'm just not a fan of online dating anymore. Hence why I started working with a matchmaker. I don't know if you've heard of this show before on Netflix. It's called Indian Matchmaker. And the concept's quite similar in Korean matchmaking. You get a profile of the other person, and these are details about their family, their school, their background, what they're looking for, and you meet. So growing up, I've always thought that I would meet my life partner through matchmaking because that's how my parents met. That's how their generation met. It was the safer choice because you were quote unquote verified. I'm not sure if that's really true. The intentions in matchmaking is very clear. Marriage. People move fast. My mom told me that after her third date with my dad, she found out that they were going to be married. They were married within 45 days. The problem I had with matchmaking, I felt like it was an M&A. And also, it just didn't really sit well with me. I always felt a little stiff on these dates. I would wear different clothes. Sometimes my mom would have a lot of say in, you should wear this or that, act a certain way. Even my dad was giving me advice like, Eugene, don't talk too much during your dates. Okay, Dad. All right. Don't tell them you have a YouTube channel. I'm like, all right, Dad, relax, I won't. And sometimes what I noticed was my profile wasn't sent directly to the man. It was actually sent to the guy's mother. So the guy's mother would have a say in whether she wants her son to meet me. And they would have feedback around, oh, her forehead's too big. Or, oh, she went to this and that school. That's too intense. That's too competitive. Why do I need to listen to this? I was striving for what I thought was good and best for me at the time. And now I'm being judged by these people I've never met. It was frustrating. I have mixed feelings about matchmaking. I feel like it could work really well for people. But right now it's been 3.5 years. I've yet to meet someone. But there's still hope. What's been good about all these years of me being single was I really like my life. I was able to build a life that I love. Of course, I want to share this life with someone too. So actually last night, I had my usual therapy session with Dr. Z, and I said this towards the end of the call. I've come to terms that I will be single for a few more years or for many, many years, but that's okay because I enjoy the life that I built for myself now. And if someone can hop on this journey, great. If not, I will keep looking. I encourage you to stay hopeful. And if you're watching this and you're not single, please leave some comments below to, encourage and just share your wisdom. Let's stay healthy. In the end, that's really all that matters. And come back to my next video topic on...
Let's go! It's time to be the GOAT! It's time to enter God mode, man, let's get it going. I wanna be the greatest, energy is overflowing. I know I'm stoking the fire.